Welcome to CSGuitars, the science of loud. Handheld sustaining systems for guitar have been around for a long time. The Ebow, which is the most iconic, was first introduced in 1976 and has remained largely unchanged since. More recently, other companies have got in on the action, including TC Electronic with their AEON sustainer a few years ago. What these do is allow the player to get infinitely sustaining notes when the device is placed above the strings, providing violin-style swells or endless synth-like notes. Take a listen. But how do devices like these manage to extend your notes to infinity? The Ebow and AEON work on a very simple setup. They contain within them three parts: a pickup, an amplifier, and an exciter coil. The sustainer's pickup works in exactly the same fashion as a normal guitar pickup, except much smaller. It's a coil of copper wire around a single magnetic pole piece, limiting it to sensing only one string at a time. When placed above a string, the movement of the string's steel core perturbates the magnetic field of the pickup, subsequently inducing a voltage in the coil. The induced voltage is sent to a small amplifier which amplifies the signal. These amplifiers are very easily driven into distortion, and that's something we'll touch on more when we come to demonstrate the sustainer in action. Once amplified, the signal is sent to an exciter coil, essentially a guitar pickup in reverse. The amplified voltage in the exciter coil generates its own changing magnetic field, which is strong enough to influence the movement of the string beneath it. The pickup and exciter coils are located at opposite ends of the string rail on the bottom of the device, and as these are in line and are influenced and influencing the same string respectively, a feedback loop is set up. The movement of the string feeds the excitation, which influences the movement of the string, which feeds the excitation, which influences the movement of the string, and so on unto infinity, or until a 9-volt battery dies, whichever comes first. As the excitation happens directly beneath the sustainer, the effect is most prominent when the device is held above one of the guitar's own pickups. Moving it closer to the pickup increases the volume of the sustained note, and moving it further away makes it quieter. This allows players to be creative, swelling into notes or creating tremolo-style effects using the device to mimic a violin bow. With the right combination of effects, you can get infinitely sustaining synth-pad-like sounds, or even create some creepy horror movie soundscapes for which you don't necessarily have to use guitar strings. Turning down the tone control on your guitar while using a sustainer generates woodwind style effects, perfect if you want to emulate oboes, clarinets, or other instruments with breath. As mentioned previously, the op amp in the sustainer is easily driven into distortion, meaning despite the clean channel on the amplifier, the sustaining output has a square wave fuzz-like sound about it. One main difference between the Ebow and the AEON is that the Ebow has a harmonic function. By reversing the direction of the excitation coil, the feedback loop kills the fundamental frequency of the string, leaving only the harmonic overtones to vibrate ad infinitum. Using a sustainer is a skill that requires some level of mastery to get right, and I'm not practiced enough in this discipline to do justice to the real beauty of this effect, but it is a very useful tool to get creative sounds out of your guitar. It's worth noting that because the excitation coil is forcing the movement of the string, lighter gauge strings will work best with this, as there's less mass for the sustainer to have to move. It can be tricky to get thick strings to sustain, so if you're planning on using one of these with bass, be prepared to struggle. Now, you might also be aware of systems like the Sustainiac pickup, which works in exactly the same principle as one of these, except rather than having a handheld device, it replaces one of the pickups on your guitar with an excitation coil, turning the full span of the guitar body into one of these sustaining devices. Hopefully this has given you some insight into how the handheld sustaining systems for guitars work. If you're interested in trying out either of these for yourself, then links to both products will be in the description of this video. And if you like what you see here, perhaps you want to consider subscribing and hit that notification bell so you can be notified of whenever any content comes out. My Patreon's also there for exclusive secret stuff. T-shirts are available and there's other videos you might not have seen. But that's all for now, guys. Keep it loud, and I'll see you later.